Welcome to CivilNet. My guest is Tigran Shahverdyan, a member of the Gituzh initiative, or Power of Science in English. They ask that the Armenian government take a stronger initiative in the science sector by providing long-term financial support and programs in the field. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Shahverdyan.
Thank you for inviting.
So, if we compare with other countries, where is Armenia's research and development ranked? And also, in comparison, how much should a country invest in its GDP to be competitive on the global scale?
So there are several reports that show compare different countries. So one of them that we checked a lot and cite a lot is Global Innovation Index, which is released every year by World Intellectual Property Organization. And overall, Armenia's place is very low. I don't write in the overall index. I don't remember the exact number, but there are many sub-indexes there for different fields and indicators. One of the indicators there is related to science is how much Armenia invests into R&D. And our public investment in R&D is about 0.2% of GDP. This is very low. We are somewhere, I think, in 90th place in the world, and we can compare a lot with a lot of countries that are not developed in let's say in Africa or in other places. But there are also some other countries, even in Africa, that are investing much more than we are doing. There are other indicators which are showing, let's say, the science and the industry connection, which we are also very low, and there's a reason for that. But if the number of scientists per million population is very low. We came down from, I would say, top 3 countries in the world from like 30 years ago to now, when we have twice lower number than the average in Europe. Like it's 7-fold decrease of the number.
So can you give us some numbers? For example, for Armenia, for a million population, how many scientists do we have, and how many, for example, France or other European countries have?
I don't remember exactly the number for France. I know that the average for Europe is, for per million population, is about 2,700. For us, it's about 1,300 right now. It was about 10,000 30 years ago. So we were probably even top 1 if we compare with today's numbers. Because right now the first country in this indicator is Israel, and it's about 9,000 or 10,000 if I remember correctly.
30 years ago was during the Soviet Union period.
Yeah, at the moment, yes, the Soviet Union was collapsing. Armenia was becoming independent. It was about 30,000 scientific workers in Armenia overall. So per million, it was about 10,000. So this is also one of the, I would say, negative indicators. However, if we check the number which is showing what is our scientific output, in particular the scientific articles in peer-reviewed journals, divided to our GDP, we are in the 18th place in the world. So this is very high sub-index in indicator, and this shows that even with all this low investment in science and the decrease of science throughout these years, we still are very competitive in the output that we are giving in the scientific field.
But it's not due to the input created by the government, but it's more due to the skills of the scientists that we are so high. What is the reason why in peer-reviewed article we're higher?
It's still because of the heritage we had before. So most of this result is given by people who are very old. I mean, out of 4,000 scientific workers in Armenia, we have 2,500 which have scientific degree, and 1,000 of these are 65 years and old. So most of the results are given by these people in this group, and it's basically from the heritage. But it's, I mean, obviously quickly declining, and we are at the latest stages of degradation of the scientific community, unfortunately.
So recently, the Armenian government decided to allocate an additional $5 million to the National Committee of Sciences. Is this decision what you were expecting?
Not at all. This is certainly a step in the right direction, I would say. But it's not the absolute amount, and the size of the step that the government is taking is not solving the issues that we are facing in the scientific community and the scientific infrastructure in Armenia.
And what is the issue that you are facing?
It's not me, it's not
well,
us, it's like,
the
country. And I already told several numbers which are showing the level of degradation and decrease that's happening. Also, and one of the reasons is the low investment that we had throughout these years. We can, at this point, we have about 100,000 drams average base salary for the public scientific workers, and about 60,000 AMD per month as a scholarship for PhD students. I mean, it's apparent that people can't live with this kind of compensation for their job, and they are using other ways to earn something so they can live. And for the more skilled and older generation who still can give a good scientific output, they are getting a lot of grants from the grant programs of Armenia and also from international grants. But the youth, they can't use these mechanisms, and very little number of them stay in the science. Most of them, even if they defend their PhD thesis, most of them go into the industry or leave the country. So, I mean, it's apparent, even if you are doing your PhD studies and you are getting just 60,000 drams.
Which is around $120?
Yeah, 110 maybe with the current exchange rate. Yeah, it's apparent you can live. I mean, you are already starting your independent life. Maybe you are already forming a family, right? And it's apparent that most of them have a job on the side, and they can't fully focus on their research during their PhD studies, and they can't see even a career after that, right? So even if they defend successfully, most of them just leave and go and work in the industry, in the private sector.
So you gave us an overview of what science field looks like in Armenia. So there is a risk that people leave the country, or they drop the research and development field to focus more on a company's work. If we talk about the steps that the government should do in order to avoid all these things that you just mentioned, what should be these steps, the most urgent ones, according to you?
Yeah, the most urgent one is increasing the compensation in the base programs, in the base funding. So the base salary should go up, definitely, because average 100,000. This is average. I mean, if you link the lab workers in the institutes, they are getting 60,000. This is net. This is not. I'm sorry. This is including the taxes, right? So it's even become less after taxation. So definitely the first step should be increased so that scientific career can become competitive with the private industry. And second very big issue is the outdated scientific equipment that we have. And I mean, part of the allocations for this year, of course, they are stating they will go to update the scientific equipment, but it's just like, I think they are saying about $2 million. It's really very small compared to what problems we have. I mean, for 30 years we didn't update the scientific equipment, and scientific equipment is probably the biggest chunk of the budgets inside the science if you look into international experience, and we need to invest a lot here, because this is also a good motivation for the youth to go and do their scientific research, because they can use modern equipment, right? And there are also programs that we need to start implementing, testing, and planning this, starting from this year, for using our diaspora's potential in the scientific field. So we have a lot of scientists abroad, and we talk a lot with a lot of people from diaspora, scientists, and they are really keen to help with different formats, right? Some of them, they can just like be advisors, some of them can lead a team remotely, spend some time in Armenia and then go to their universities or institutes. Some of them are ready to repatriate and continue working here, but we need to prepare an environment, competitive environment for them, so that they can do what they are really best at, create new knowledge.
You know, some people might say that why do we need scientists in Armenia? I mean, it became a global trend. You have access to, for example, vaccines, they come from somewhere else. You have access to technical furnitures and everything, and it comes from outside. Why do the society need the scientists? That might seem a little bit weird question, but I'm asking to you. So why do the Armenians need scientists, and why do we need this knowledge, this developed knowledge here?
I think I can give two answers to that. One of them is that it's obvious that we need to develop our economy, and the only way in the 21st century countries have shown, even in 20th century, the countries, other countries' experience show that the only way that you can have really quick and rapid growth in the economy is through developing high-tech industry. And for high-tech industry, you definitely need a lot of R&D in the country. And part of the R&D can't be done by private sector, because it's longer-term investment, because it's the return of investment in terms of money is not so easy to calculate. So private sector can't invest in some of the fields. And also, so for longer term and types of research that can give a huge public benefits, the state steps in every country and funds this kind of research. Also, it develops human capital. So these people that are working in the public scientific research funded by public money, they go and teach as professors in the universities. They prepared and trained the next generation of engineers, not only scientists. And some of them can even leave their work in the science and go work in the industry, in the private sector. So definitely this kind of investment develops human capital, and then as a consequence develops the high-tech industry. Then another reason is that, and this is also connected to the fact that in this century more and more countries are dividing into, I would say, two groups. One of them is countries that are creating new knowledge and products, and countries that are just consuming. So if you are putting yourself in the second category, you are just consuming, then you don't worth much in the international relations. So people can just, even if somebody decides to I don't know, bully you or attack you, no one will step in probably. I mean, you are not so important in the overall scheme of things when countries are trying to solve like global challenges. And if you don't put yourself into this kind of international cooperations and programs where group of countries try to solve global challenges, when you can put maybe solve part of it, then you are not so important. Second part is, I mean, not every scientific research is you can commercialize. Some of them, especially in the humanities and arts and social sciences field. So part of this is, I mean, it's important for your national security, for your culture, right? You need to define where your national identity is, and all these sciences there, and humanities and arts, they're important if you want to have a strong national identity and be able to give some arguments when somebody tries to steal your identity, right? We have seen a lot of examples when people take your cultural heritage and then claim that it's somebody else's. you need to be able to do the research and convince the world that this is not correct.
And so you referred many times, I think, to the war that happened, the Artsakh war of fall 2020. And your voice was much heard, way much more heard after the war. And you raised your voice saying that if we developed more during this 30 years sciences, we might have been able to avoid this war, or at least stop it sooner. What is the relation between science and the war that we faced here in Armenia?
Yeah, I mean, we've seen clearly that in this era, the wars are a lot of high tech is used in the wars, and we've faced it first-handedly. So I mean, it's obvious that if we had prepared our security system in a better way, that we ordered more R&D for the security. We prepared more like high-tech weapons. We could have got another result. And even it's not only directly ordering new kind of weapons from the scientific community or R&D community in general. It's also that if you develop the high-tech industry faster, which right now the biggest bottleneck, one of the biggest, I would say, bottlenecks for high-tech industry is the talent. So that we face, our community faces every day. So if we had better access to high-skilled talent with the deep knowledge of sciences, different fields of sciences, we could have developed our industry much faster. So that would affect our economy, then of course the state budget, and you can invest more into security, right? Not only inside the country, but also buy more weapons if necessary, right? So this is the, I mean, obvious connection with what might have been different.
Beside being a member of the Gituzh initiative, you also are the co-founder and chief technology officer at RoboMart, a robotics company based in California. And could you tell us more about your company and what importance does scientists have for companies like yours?
Yeah, sure. So RoboMart is building the world's first store hailing service. Basically, it's the third way, the new way of shopping. Sorry. So at this moment, there are two ways if you want to get your groceries done or any other kind of shopping. You either go to the store or you order it online. So this is a completely new way to shop. It will be very important for some of the categories of the products, especially the fresh groceries and type of products that you use and order several times a week. So you just it works like this. You basically have an application and you book a store which comes to you in 10-15 minutes tops, and then you can go outside and shop at your doorstep. Basically, the shopping happens at your doorstep. You don't create a basket before, you don't pay for it in advance. When it comes to you, you shop at your doorstep, and then after that the transaction happens. So we are using a lot of technologies in the platform we are creating. Right now, that when we are preparing to go live, we have automatic checkout system, which makes it much more convenient for consumers to shop. The next step will be introduction. The next big step in the technology side will be the introduction of driverless technologies into the platform, when we will have like hundreds of thousands or even more stores roving around your neighborhood autonomously. And this is one of the fields in technology that in these times develops very fast. There are probably hundreds of companies investing billions into developing autonomous technologies, and you can't underestimate the importance of high-skilled talent that has this scientific research background in developing these technologies. So I can even say that like our team members, I mean, if you don't have this deep knowledge, you don't need to have a huge experience in the scientific research, but if you really got a good professor that taught you very well and inspired you and teach you very well math and physics, then you can create more value. You can easily understand new technology topics quickly, like dive into new fields and start bringing value using these technologies in the companies.
Well, thank you very much, Mr. Shahverdyan, for this talk. Thank you for watching and continue to follow CivilNet.